Islam, Islam, Islam. First, I rise and I give glory and praise to Father God Allah, the Creator, the source of all energy, life, everything that emanates from Allah. I give praise to Him, the All. I rise and I give high honors to all the prophets, messengers that were sent through the cycles of time to give us a message and help raise our consciousness back to Allah, our true rightful state and inheritance. And I rise and I give honors to the one sent to us here on this shores of North America, Prophet Noble Drew Ali. I rise and I give honors to his forerunner, Marcus Mosiah Garvey. I rise and I give honors to the Moorish Science Temple of America, the first Supreme Grand Sheikh that was appointed, Edward Mealy Ill, the current Supreme Grand Sheikh that's now in that position, that station, David Bailey Ill. I rise and give honor to the Grand Body and the Supreme Grand Council. This message here is basically going out. First, I want to say I rise and I give honor to all our veterans. Thank you for your sincere service. You did what you thought was honorable, which it is honorable because you're sincere in heart, and you did put in a mighty work. Whether fortunately or unfortunately, things had took a spiral in your life, I pray that Allah will help you recover back to the state of peace and progress in your life. As I know a lot of times when you come home from the battle, they said they were going to give you certain things, and I know a lot of veterans that did not get what was promised to them. And we need to thank you for your service and let you know that we have your support. Despite many of our brothers and sisters who've served and been used inappropriately, you know what I'm saying, and against their will, but they felt that they had to do what they had to do. I honor that sincerity, and I'm going to say that. As far as the other things, we know the trickery, and we just forge on from that. We learn and we apply for our own growth and development and autonomy. I'm going to say today, I want to focus on what is, or what the Prophet brought us as far as the Moorish Holy Koran. Let's look at it. As you can see, it states that the Holy Koran of the Moorish Science Temple of America, divinely prepared by the Prophet Drew Ali. Okay, and we know the front cover further it says, by the guiding of his Father, God Allah, the great God of the universe, to redeem man from his sinful and fallen stage of humanity back to the highest plane of life with his Father, God Allah. All right. Read that. And then it says on the back, the Holy Quran of Moorish Science Temple America, know yourself and your Father God Allah, that you may learn to love instead of hate. Every man need to worship under his own vine and fig tree, the uniting of Asia. All right. Now, I want to focus on where it says divinely prepared by the noble prophet. This book was divinely prepared. That means he took pieces from this, that, and so forth. What is miscued even today within the context of what we call, or within the realms of the conscious community, because this is where a majority of our people are getting their information from. Not many people are exempt. This conscious community has exploded nationwide, and it pretty much is the vehicle for much of our conscious movements, or movements that have been may have existed outside of a conscious community. This thing, your movement is, if you have a representative, whether you're Hebrew Israelite, Moorish Science of America, 5%, Black Panther, Egyptology, mystery systems, Black metaphysics, whatever it is, you're in the realms of this conscious community. And what a lot of people cannot put their or wrap their minds around is, how can one book, a small pamphlet, or how can someone get credit for producing a small pamphlet when the bits and pieces were taken from other areas? And some people were late because, if you go into deep, that these teachings or these writings come from 2 different books. First of all, it's 3 elements that went into doing this book. First of all, it was driven from the inspiration of Allah and Prophet Nubu Ali's understanding and teaching. So not everything in this book was from the other 2 books I'm about to mention. Everything in this, a lot of it was elements from the Prophet's insight into who we are, and from his studies, and from what Allah revealed to him, are in there. And they were put in different order. See, the story of Jesus is first, or in the middle. Of course, the first chapter is very pinnacle because it tells about our falling, and us falling into matter, or into the manifestation, or the plane of manifest. Okay? And what we need to do to get back, because it sums it up, what you're supposed to do. Now, it's in there, so you have Jesus is the journey. His story is a journey, or a symbolic, or a what they will call a parable of how to get back to that plane, the highest plane. All right? So you read that, and then in between that, or after that, there's actually 4 parts. It's after that is the laws of how to conduct yourself. Laws of conduct, laws of, like, such as our Holy Covenant of the Asiatic nation, prophet message, let me see. For example, let me get it, because I don't want to speak out of terms. Not really feel it. You have holy instructions and warning for all young men. You have marriage instructions for men and wife from the noble prophet. You have, like I said, the Asiatic covenant for the Asiatic nation. You have duty of a husband. You have instructions for your children. You have holy covenant Asiatic nation, like I said, the obedience of children towards their father. Holy instruction of unity, holy unity of rich and the poor. This is how dealing with conduct. This is dealing with mainly conduct and how to deal with our behaviors and amongst society. And dealing with also philosophical ideas of dealing with religion, dealing with knowing ourselves, dealing with the breath of heaven. What is the breath? The soul of man, dealing with the soul. So these things are actually teachings that we are supposed to look into and pull from. All right. So, besides putting in a story, this is actually these are actually messages of conduct and teachings that we're supposed to use. So that's another part of this thing. That's what we call the Moorish Holy Koran. So, then you go into what we call chapter 46 all the way to 48. Or actually, chapter 45 through 48 is our dealing with our lineage, how we got here, physical lineage, who we're related to, a historical aspect of Christianity, those things to pretty much put us in the right perspective, things we need to study. We can build upon these things on actual fact and let us know where we stand in the midst of, historical time, being Moabites, being from the land of Canaan, and so forth and so on. The end of the time and the fulfilling of the prophecies, or however we need to come together, form our temples, not amalgamate with the European, not marry and amalgamate with the European, even though some, and sadly, Moorish Americans would try to argue that notion of what that means, and it's sadly, I don't understand. That's one of the things that are put in front of you, with point blank. As a prophet, he spoke point blank of what it is. That was put in front of you, with no symbolic meaning. We're a clean and pure nation, do not wish to marry or amalgamate within the families of the pale skins of Europe. So he gave you a description, but besides the point, not the issue, but what I'm trying to pull out is that many would say, okay, besides the part that Prophet Nubudrali wrote and came up with himself, or from Allah was given to him, you have the issues of the Koran Gospel and Unto Thee I Grant, or the two books that the Prophet had drawn from to help create this masterpiece for us today. Now, many would say, well, they're European books because the authors or those who are given credit to scribe, are Europeans, Rosicrucianists and so forth and so on. All right. The essence, the essence, of course, is universal, but we don't want to give the European that much credit. Because the truth be told, that I've been coming across some stuff lately dealing with Tibet. And much of the teachings that these books have been given, these books are actually come from Tibet. And that what the Tibetans will tell you, that they actually come from Egypt. Somehow, some way, for whatever reason, these books or these teachings and writings found their way from Kemet all the way to the hills and mountains of Tibet. Now, if you notice the so-called indigenous people of Tibet, notice their face, they're very chinky eyes, so forth. But some of them have very, very melanated skin. Some of them are darker than me, more brown than me. So, given that an idea, and remember that, we had several migrations out of Kemet. So, who to say that these teachings didn't make it up there? Let me read an excerpt from Unto Thee I Grant within the preface, right? And this is just a small paragraph, and it'll help explain. Okay. From clues in the text, it has been suggested by 20th century scholars familiar with archaeological discoveries in Egypt that most of the book was written sometime after 1360 BCE by Amenhotep IV, Pharaoh of Egypt, or by some of his successors in the great Egyptian school of mysticism. All right, so Unto Thee I Grant. This is in the preface of Unto Thee I Grant. And they're saying that within that understanding, what they discovered these texts, they said because of what is taught in these texts, it looks very familiar to what is written, or these had to be written by Amenhotep IV, who is Akhenaten. And remember, Akhenaten was chased out of Kemet at one time. He had to leave Kemet. They left because he was teaching what they call monotheistic doctrine. He was teaching. Let's get rid of all the other Neterus and let's focus on the main one. Okay, I understand the East. He knew that the other Neterus were just manifestations of the one, and so forth and so on. But there was too many differences at the time. There was in the priesthood. There was a priesthood for this Neteru, a priesthood for that Neteru. He was saying, let's centralize the priesthood around one and teach this. And it was just like, no. So they ran him out. Who's to say that he, maybe he didn't go, but he had he had followers who went with him. And that's a story. You can even look that up. There's books about that, about Akhenaten and his followers and how they left. Some people say Akhenaten leaving with his followers is actually the story of the Exodus. Of him leaving is like the story of the Exodus. Him being Moses leaving. Him representing Moses, and him leaving with his followers out. And then teaching spread other places. So, we have here sort of evidence to show that the Moorish Holy Koran, being the elements took it from unto the Agrant, or actually, if you dig, are our ancient African high society teachings, or what we call Egyptian mysticism, or the mystery system, which is kind of plays in line with even what George M. James has said about the Moors being the custodians of the ancient mystery, the teachers of the ancient mystery system. If you look at a stolen legacy, and that the Moorish Science Temple of America being the custodians of those teachings. Within our own pamphlet is the ancient mystery teachings, you know what I'm saying? And the ancient spiritual systems are within that pamphlet, and we hold those tightly. Of course, within the outer ring boundaries of Islam, it put into the right sequence, it flows all together. Because a Muslim, remember, in your spirituality, everybody has to have a spiritual foundation or base of practice. It should never limit you, though, to not search the vast universe of knowledge. Because if your religion limits you to just focusing on just that one thing, and you're not looking around a vast universe, then it's not for you. It defeats the purpose. And it might not even be the religion, it's the way you perceive it. So, now, to follow up on this, there's a book called Kalika. That's Kalika. It's Khen Metetten. KhenMetaten. Kalika Kenmetetten. The Supreme Egyptian Adept. This is a book you can get off of Kindle, off Amazon. It might ain't even cost you much. It might even cost you just $1. You can get this book. This is by H.G. Hawkins and Heather Cantrell. They were able to explore the mountains of Tibet, and they came across these writings, this diary, or these not diaries, but these teachings that this Tibetan village had, and it came from this sister Kalika Kenmetetten, and she was a student Egyptian adept at the time of Akhenaten, and her stuff went up there, went up to Tibet. So if her stuff went up to Tibet, you know that the Pharaoh Akhenaten stuff went to Tibet too. So she was an adept at the time of Akhenaten. So therefore,